we went ahead and gathered our favorite and most popular TWS IEM options. We're to see which ones really go above and beyond. Hey folks, it's Matthew from Bloom Audio here. Another day, another TWS video. In the past few months, we've done reviews on the ZE8000, Noble Audio Focus Mystique, and the newest Svanar wireless. But we haven't done reviews on all of the TWS options we have, so I felt like today we're to gather them all up, we're to see which one best meets your needs, which ones really go above and beyond with the features, and which one offers arguably the best sound. So without further ado, let's kick things off with the Campfire Audio Orbit, and we'll make our way up to the most expensive option, the Svanar wireless. Let's check them out. The Campfire Audio Orbit has a price tag of $249. It has a 10mm dynamic driver. The available codecs are AAC, SBC, and aptX Adaptive. It has a dedicated app, Bluetooth 5.2, and a charge time of 8 hours for the earbuds and 30 hours with the case. Campfire Audio keeps it simple with the Orbit. It's their TWS IEM debut, and they left behind features like ANC or transparency, but they did give us a dedicated app. Starting off with the app, it's a little bit bare bones. We get an EQ feature, we get the ability to turn off some touch sensors with the Orbit, and overall, it's a pretty good user experience. I did have some trouble pairing with it in the beginning, but once I got to go, I didn't have any problems with the EQ or disabling some of the touch sensor options. Overall, a pretty good experience. Without any features in the way, we get a music-first approach that's a pretty natural and organic sound signature. Starting off in the low end, we get nice impact, great punch, and pretty solid texture. It doesn't bleed into the mid-range, which is the most important part, as I feel as though most TWS options just really bloat that bass, but Orbit doesn't do that. It has really good transparency and clarity in the low end. Moving into the mid-range, we get a really nice cohesion of the mix with good body and weight to instruments, great vocals, clean and crisp right at the center of the music. Not too pushed back, not too forward, just where they need to be. In the highs is probably where my biggest complaint with Orbit remains. I think the highs can be a little bit too dry, a little bit too brittle for my taste. On some tracks they go into really good detail and you get this full, complete sound signature of the Orbit. And on some tracks, a little bit too harsh, just again, a little bit too dry for my taste. All in all, Orbit is an excellent debut for Campfire's TWS option. Quite honestly, I think it's probably better than most of their entry-level wired IEMs, and Orbit should definitely be on your list of considerations for TWS options. Moving on, we have the Apple AirPods Pro 2nd generation. Let's take a look. Apple AirPods Pro 2nd generation has a price tag of $249. It features an 11mm driver and their all-new H2 chip. The only available codec is AAC. As for the features, it has spatial audio, ANC, and transparency. It features Bluetooth 5.3, the only IEM on this list to have it, and it has a charge time of 6 hours for the earbuds and 30 hours for the case. Apple AirPods Pro 1st generation was bad. It was bad. It got sibilant at times, there was no separation in the bass, and the mid-range was pretty congested. Overall, it just was not my taste at all. However, Generation 2 is a different story. Obviously, being an Apple product, there is excellent integration with iPhones. I'm an iPhone user, I'm in the Apple ecosystem, so that Bluetooth 5.3 connection is just unbelievable. You put the AirPods in your ear, it has in-ear detection, and you're off and running to the races. All the features are right there at your fingertips. You simply hold down on that AirPods icon. You have transparency, ANC, spatial audio. However, spatial audio, not my thing. Really don't enjoy it at all. But all in all, the integration with Apple products is simply superb with the AirPods Pro Generation 2. It's just easy, it's intuitive, it's simple, and I just really enjoy it. So with the integration with my iPhone, Apple AirPods Pro 2nd generation offers the best usability on this list, hands down. But if you're on the outside looking in with an Android, it's a tough sell. I get it. You only have AAC, you don't have aptX adaptive, LDAC, you don't have these features at your fingertips. It's just probably not for you. But the sound, however, could be for you. Apple AirPods Pro 2 takes a stab at the Harman tuning target with a slight elevation in the bass, particularly in the sub bass, that makes it have really nice impact. It's a nice full bass. It has great separation with the sub bass and mid bass, all in all making a great low end. As for the mid range, great weight, great body to the instruments, but the vocals are where Apple AirPods Pro 2 really shine. I think they have just great presence, great transparency, great clarity. They could maybe come up just a little bit in the mix, but all in all, I think they really shine in this new edition of Apple AirPods Pro. As for the treble, you're actually getting a nice clean and crisp sound, really good detail retrieval up there, especially with brass instruments or high-pitched strings in an orchestra. You're getting pretty great detail, which really was not the case on Apple AirPods Pro 1. You're just getting harsh, sibilant tones that just sound terrible. Apple AirPods Pro 2 takes the opposite approach, smooths them out a little bit, but gives them nice detail and clarity. As for the soundstage and imaging of the Apple AirPods Pro 2, you're getting a nice realistic stage. Not huge by any means, but nice imaging, good separation between instruments. All in all, just making the sound signature of the Apple AirPods Pro 2 just really balanced and pretty darn good. So if you're like me and you're integrated in the Apple ecosystem, Apple AirPods Pro 2 really improves on the previous gen and offers a more than viable solution in the TWS realm. But again, like I said, if you're on the outside looking in, you want more codecs than just AAC, probably look elsewhere for right reasons. Next up, we have the Sennheiser Momentum 3, which might just be the most intriguing on this list. Let's take a look. Sennheiser Momentum 3 has a price tag of $279.95. It has a 7mm true response driver, and the available codecs are SBC, AAC, aptX, and aptX adaptive. It has ANC, transparency, and a dedicated app. It boasts Bluetooth 5.2 and has a charge time of 7 hours for the earbuds and 28 hours for the case. When I said they were the most intriguing on the list, I really meant it. I think these may be the AirPods for Android users. You get great usability, a great sound, and overall just an intuitive app that really makes Sennheiser Momentum 3 a complete package. Going into the app, you're greeted with an EQ, ANC control, transparency control, even a wind cut mode, which isn't very good. But it has it. It has all these features. They're fleshed out all in a really nice and usable app. Starting off in the low end, Momentum 3 has monstrous bass, maybe even bass that's too good for its own doing. It does tend to bleed a little bit into that mid-range, but it is so full and so fun that it really just makes listening to EDM or instrumental music just an absolute joy. It's super full, it has great impact, extremely great texture, and it really just extends deep into those low-end frequencies. As for the mid-range, I wish we got a little bit more of it. I can tell that Sennheiser kind of went with what they did with the IE600, the IE200, even the IE900, where they focus on those treble and low-end frequencies. That's not a bad thing, it sounds great, but that mid-range is really sweet in the Momentum 3. I kind of wish we got more of it. Sometimes vocals get a little bit lost in the mix, but all in all, it's a great sound signature that really would be completely balanced out by a more forward mid-range. In the treble, you get really nice revealing highs that have plenty of detail, plenty of shimmer, shine, and air that really just encapsulates Sennheiser's signature IEM sound that I just really enjoy. I thought the Momentum 3 was a great all-in-all package, and I think a lot of people would be excited to have this TWS option. Up next, we have the final ZE8000, which is definitely the most intriguing looking TWS option we have on the list. Let's check it out. The final ZE8000 has a price tag of $349. It has a 13mm dynamic driver. The available codecs are SBC, AAC, Qualcomm aptX and aptX Adaptive. It has ANC, wind cut, ambient sound, voice through, and a dedicated app. It features Bluetooth 5.2 and has a charge time of 5 hours for the earbuds and 15 hours for the case. Starting off in the app, a really well-polished and great user experience. You're greeted by a ton of impressive features. The most impressive probably being wind cut. That really does do a great job of eliminating wind. It was kind of a, oh my gosh, moment when that wind that's blowing by you on your walk is just completely eliminated, and it doesn't really come at the cost of losing detail, in the sound. Again, it's not going to sound as good as it does with all of these options off, but it does sound pretty good. ANC is probably below average, and transparency's okay. 8K sound, very minimal difference, but just having the ability to turn it on is definitely pretty cool. All in all, excellent features, great app, and just a super intuitive user experience. The final ZE8000's biggest problem is trying to get it into your ear. But once you have them in your ear, your next biggest problem is trying to get them out. They sound incredible. They have probably the best micro and macro detail retrieval on this list. The soundstage is expansive, it's wide, it has great space in between instruments, and really just makes for a wired IEM experience in a TWS option. With that micro and macro detail retrieval, the bass response is absolutely excellent. It extends very deep into those low-end frequencies. Impact and slam are okay. It's more about the texture here than it is the feel of the bass. Just extends really deep. The mid-range is nice and full, great cohesion to the mix. Vocals are a little bit more forward, which is to my preference. I really enjoy nice and full vocals. You're gonna get that here with the ZE8000. And in those highs, you're gonna get really, again, deep extension into those high-end frequencies, which is really impressive for a TWS option because I feel like that's pretty rare here, and I just really enjoy it with the ZE8000. So who's the ZE8000 for? It's for the listener that's looking for the most micro and macro detail retrieval possible in a TWS option. If you want that wired IEM experience in a TWS option, look no further than the ZE8000. Up next is the Noble Audio Focus Mystique, which is claimed by many to be the absolute, hands down, best sounding TWS option. Is it true? Let's check them out. The Noble Audio Focus Mystique has a price tag of $359. It has a dynamic driver and 2 balanced armatures. Available codecs are SBC, AAC, aptX, and aptX Adaptive. It has a dedicated app in ambient mode, Bluetooth 5.2, and a charge time of 7.5 hours for the earbuds and 28 hours for the case. The Noble Audio Focus Mystique doesn't come with ANC, but it does have an ambient mode, which probably isn't on par with the transparency mode of the Airpods Pro 2 or Sennheiser Momentum 3 or probably even the ZE8000, but it's there and it can be used through the dedicated app, which I honestly didn't spend too much time with. I listened to all these IEMs without their features on, but this app does work. It does provide a pretty good user experience. I didn't have any problems pairing or getting to the connection properly with the app, so overall a good experience there. Now as for the sound, we can't begin to talk about the Focus Mystique without immediately going into the bass response. Bass is extremely fun, it is extremely full, and remains tight and controlled. It doesn't interfere with the other bodies of music. It really is just a blast to listen to. But when we enter the mid-range, that's where my hype for the Focus Mystique trails off a bit. I've had numerous customers tell me that the Focus Mystique is the absolute pinnacle of the TWS options out there. I just can't seem to agree. I think the mid-range is a little bit muddied. Vocals often get lost in the mix. The overall cohesion just isn't all that great. However, the treble is really superb as well. It has great detail retrieval, really great air up top that just complements that monstrous low end. Is the mid-range bad? No, not by any means, but to my ear, it just wasn't to my taste. And I can't sit here and say that the Focus Mystique is hands down the best TWS option. But what I can say, it is a phenomenal TWS option. We have multiple options at our disposal here to nitpick, to take a closer look at, to desire. To me, the Fokus Mystique isn't that, but to you, it very well could be. The HiFiMan Svanar wireless is the most expensive option we have on this list at $499. But is that price tag justified? Let's answer that question. The HiFiMan Svanar wireless has a price tag of $499. It has a 10mm dynamic driver. Available codecs are AAC, SBC, and LDAC. It has ANC and transparency, Bluetooth 5.2, and a charge time of 7 hours for the earbuds and 28 hours for the case. To answer that question, we have to look deep into the Svanar wireless. Yes, we have ANC and transparency, but we don't have a dedicated app for this TWS option, which is a little bit of a bummer when you're paying a premium price tag such as $499. However, you are getting LDAC available codec, which is a huge boost as no other TWS option on this list supports it. But when we look at the sound, it doesn't take a very close look to decipher that the Svanar wireless sounds absolutely phenomenal. It is the most complete and well-balanced sound signature we have on this list. In the low end, you're getting really impressive texture, maybe even texture that's close and maybe even on par with the ZE8000. Better impact, better rumble, and a more full bass than that of the ZE8000. In the mid-range, I don't think there's much competition on this list to rival Svanar's mid-range. It is just incredibly full, and it reminds me a lot of the Svanar wired mid-range, not in terms of clarity or detail, but just to how it's tuned. It's incredibly sweet, really full, and just easily the best in TWS. The Svanar wireless's weakest link may be the treble, which even then I don't think is bad at all. Is it a little smoothed out? Maybe, but I think it has good detail retrieval, good clarity, and does pair nicely with that low end. The most impressive characteristic of Svanar wireless, hands down, is its soundstage and imaging. It brings that usual HiFiMan expansive soundstage to a TWS option, which is extremely impressive, given that this is only HiFiMan's second TWS, and their first was a bit rocky in terms of connection and all that. It did have good sound, but Svanar really takes things to a different level. So at $499, you're not getting that dedicated app. You're going to ANC and transparency through touch controls, but overall you are getting the best of the best in terms of sound quality. So all this to say, TWS options continue to evolve. They continue to get better and better, and it's really exciting to see great sound replicated in these Bluetooth options. These are just a few TWS IEMs that we thought were really great. There's plenty more for you to go check out, but we have almost all of these listed on our website at bloomaudio.com. If you have any questions on these products, you can leave us a comment down below or shoot us an email at hello@bloomaudio.com. Be sure to like and subscribe, and we'll be back soon with more high fidelity audio content.